Alright guys, so today it's our first tutorial in Intro to Game Design, and today I'm just going to show you how to set up a project on Unity, the basic ideas that we're going to be going over, and then I'm just going to show you some very simple programming and how scripts are set up. Alright, so just first open Unity and say new, and then we're going to be working in the 2D game engine. So Unity has a 3D and a 2D. 2D just makes it easier to make simple games. And you can name it anything you want. I'm just going to name it New Unity Project. And you click Create Project. Pretty straightforward. And then see this folder on your desktop, New Unity Project. And then your new project opens up. Now, there's a few settings you have to work on first if you want the easiest materials possible to learn with. So first go to Edit and then click Preferences, and then you're going to click External Tools, and you're going to make sure this is on Mono Developed, the external script editor. A lot of people, it just automatically defaults to Visual Studio 2015, and then you get something that's not very good. It's pretty slow and clunky, and it doesn't show you what you need to see. I need to add some assets. It's like your sprites, your game sprites, what things look like. Your basic fundamentals of your game. You just whatever you want, you can put them in assets, and they should be PNG files or something. And then once it loads, you'll have basic sprite files to work with. Now I'm just going to show you the basic layout of the Unity game engine. Down here on the bottom, this is how I have it set up. It's a default. You have your project and your console. Now in your project, it's just going to show you all of your assets, anything you're using inside of your game, files, anything like audio, sounds, pictures, they're all down here. Right now we have a Donald Trump, we have some hills. And then here's the console. Basically, whenever you're making your game, you're going to make multiple scripts, and scripts are basically sheets of code that tell your game what to do. If there's any errors or things that happen within those codes, it'll show down here, and then you can go and edit those, fix them, debug them. Over here is the inspector and services. Inspector is going to show you your game objects when you select them. So over here is a hierarchy. Hierarchy shows you all the objects in your game. Right now I just have a main camera. You can create a lot of different things. You can make a 2D sprite. Not that it'll do us much good right now. You could drag in your sprites and they automatically become a sprite. So now see, we have a little Donald Trump guy pointing with his lips out like he's gonna kiss somebody. Yeah, and basically that's the main thing. What you're gonna be doing most of the game is you're gonna be coding scripts, and then you're going to attach them to these game objects, and it'll make the game object function in a certain way. Unity will run most of the game, and you just have to code the parts that you want to be unique. Alright, so that's basically what Unity is. You can click play, and it'll do what your game would normally do. Right now we didn't code anything, so it's just going to show your stupid little Donald Trump super small on the screen. So I'm going to show you how to make scripts now. I've shown you the basics of the game engine, which we'll go into later. But now we're going to make a script for Donald Trump. New script. I'll just call it Hillary. No reason. And create an ad. We're going to do this all in JavaScript. So if it says C#, just do JavaScript. And then now we have that, and it shows up in our assets. Since we set it to Mono Develop up here, it should open in Mono Develop. Just give it a moment to load. Okay guys, so now we're in Mono Develop, and it shows us whenever you make a new script, it'll just give you basic setup. So basically how Unity works is whenever you write this script, it's not just going to be straight up code. It's going to give you functions, and each of these functions will do a certain thing when certain things happen within the game. So this update function, it runs every frame. So it just happens every single frame to whatever object it's attached to. And start happens in the first frame, just the first frame. So basic setup of a program is going to be, all programming requires variables, but first you're going to put Progmastrict at the top, because it'll just help you fix more errors. It won't be as lenient with you when you make errors, and so you won't make confusing errors, and it'll alert you when something's... Alright guys, so now I'm going to teach you a little bit more in depth about variables. They're the basic building blocks of coding. So if you don't have variables, you can't do anything. Basically all coding works on is if you've ever taken math or something, like x equals this, y equals that, but it can be any name, anything you want, but they're variables, and they tell your code the values that you're using for certain things. So that might sound complicated now. I'll explain it more later. Basically, you have to understand variables to understand the rest. There are a few basic variable types. There's integers, which are just numbers, like 0 or 1, and those are integers. They have no decimal after them. But if you want them to be a floating point number, you can put like random stuff out after that. That makes it a floating point number. It's anything that holds decimals. There's also Boolean values. So Boolean value can only be true or false. This is really useful whenever you want to be like, this is going to happen or it's not going to happen. True or false statements show you that. And then there's strings. So strings are any amount of words or spaces or whatever you want to put in quotes. You have to put them in quotes, and then you can type in words. If you don't put them in quotes, you just do that, it's going to think it's a variable, because every variable has a name. Basically, you're going to have this var tells the system you're adding a variable to its list of variables, and then you're going to put a name. I'm just going to put Miles because I'm awesome, and then Miles can equal anything. So Miles can equal cool. Oops, my bad. That's not cool. Cool, and that would be a string. Or Miles could equal 0. That would be an integer. It could equal 0.123. That would be a floating point number. It could equal false. Anything like that. Basically, those are the four main types of variables you're going to be using. There's not really much else in terms of variables. So basically, var, it declares it. Then this is your name of your variable, and then it equals some value. We'll get more into that later, but that's basic variables. Make sure you know the types. It's going to be a lot more useful later. And I'll see you guys next time. Fun video.